Okay, so this is Battlerite Profile number 7, and today's guest is a Season 1 finalist and an EU LAN representative. So, welcome to the DPS main support of Dolos, Klerny. How do you do?
Hey, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I'm pleased to be here. I'm excited to talk about, what we're gonna talk about. It's gonna be fun.
If we go back to the early Battlerite competitive scene, what teams were you in?
I was playing for Bruce Lee for a long time, with Condemned,
All
mostly
right.
in twos, and then we transitioned to threes with the Jolts. So it was me,
Right. Yes.
Jolts.
Okay. I remember. Now that you mention it, Bruce Lee, I
Uh,
remember.
yeah, because Bruce Lee was kind of my first team.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I played on that team for a long, long time, and we did pretty good. After that, I kind of just didn't play for a long, or I didn't play competitively for a long time. Um, and then then Intolerant. I joined Intolerant with Jules and and I mean that's basically the two big teams I've been in.
I remember when I did my first interview with Jolts, he kind of talked about, I think he talked about Bruce Lee being quite a serious team. Like you guys were very serious, and uh, the atmosphere in the team was that you were quite competitive, and it created kind of a harsh atmosphere within the team. Is that something that you remember as well?
Uh, Me and Conem were always like, for example, when we played back in the day, we didn't use voice communications or anything. We were more like, we're just gonna beat the enemies, you know. Um, that's what we played
Yeah.
around. Um, and yeah, we were really serious about the game back then. So it's more about being super serious, and yeah, I remember Johnson Condemned maybe didn't get along together that
Okay.
well. Let's just say that. But yeah, like it was a really serious environment.
So if you compare that to other teams that you've been in later on, have you kept on that more serious environment, or do you also like? Because Joel's mentioned that he wanted a more free environment. Which one do you prefer?
I mean, I've to me it's in the end I want to win, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I play. I just want to win, and I'll put in the work that's enough to win. Um, like I'll do what's necessary to win. So yeah, for sure. Like to me, it doesn't matter. I can have fun
Mm.
when I'm winning, but if I'm not winning, then I'm like I can't have fun. I need to put in the work and be serious enough to keep winning, and always try to win. So I've, I guess I prefer the more serious type, but you gotta have fun sometimes as well. You can't just be super serious all the time.
So I take it then you have a more like serious atmosphere in Dolos now as well. Your current team.
Yeah, we are pretty serious when we're playing. Yeah, we are basically always looking to win and improve.
All right. So I know I've seen your nightmare, or crazy as he was known before, in Battle Right games. Before I saw him in Dolos, but I'm not sure about Jurgen. Where was he before he joined Dolos?
Jurgen was an North American crook player. I don't remember
Ah,
what team he played for, but he used to play on any tournaments. So he wasn't really a big EU player by that time. Or when he played with us, yes, like he had already been known for being a big EU player. So um, for us, it was kind of obvious who would we pick for third.
all right.
Yeah.
So how did you come to forming Dolos? How did that happen?
Um, so at this time, this was before BPL started. Like we knew BPL would start. Oh well, we knew BPL would be starting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and by that time, it was like perfect. It was like perfect time for me, I guess, because by that time, Crazy precisely left his team, or there had some team problems. I don't really know what happened, but
Mm-hmm.
he was teamless anyways. And like I've always seen potential in Crazy, so I was like, yeah, I gotta pick Crazy up. Um, so I was like messaging him pretty early, like long before BPL was actually announced and stuff. That, yeah, we should form a team probably now, you know. So I picked up Crazy, and he was all down for it. And then we were like discussing who would be the best third, and we were like, yeah, well, went through a lot of players, and then both were like, yeah, well, Jürgen's the best. So it wasn't really any questions there. Jürgen was free, and yeah, we both wanted him.
All right. When I saw you guys at the DreamHack LAN, I talked to both you and Jürgen. Did interviews with you. One impression that I got from Jürgen when I talked to him was that he was, kind of a thinker.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Something about how he listened to me and responded to my questions. How would you describe him as a person or a player?
I mean, as a player, he's known for being a big like thinking player. Like just the strategies he goes into a game with. It's not like he doesn't want to maybe shine with his gameplay. It doesn't have to be pretty. Um, he'll do what is required for his team to win, which is a lot different from a lot of players. I think Grace is a pretty good example. Grace would be the one who's like, yeah, I'm gonna play my game, and my team better follow me. So yeah, I think that's the big thing where Jürgen is like, yeah, he'll do exactly what his teams needs him to do, and he'll do that super good, So that's a big thing for him. And I mean, also the thinking he puts into drafting and when he like how he predicts enemy picks and stuff like that. So we always know how we're gonna draft. It's a big thing for Jürgen as well. So yeah, he's putting a lot of thinking into his gameplay and yeah, just around it on what we should play and stuff.
Is he more in charge of the drafts than the rest of you guys?
I'd say, yeah, kind of. I mean, we kind of do the drafts together, right? Like what we're gonna play and what we want to pick and stuff. But he's usually the one picking up comps and saying, yeah, we should probably play this, then this and this, you know. Then if there are some swift decisions where we say, yeah, what should we play here? Should we pick this or this? Then everyone can have their opinion, and then Jürgen often is like, well, yeah, let's pick this then.
All right.
So yeah, I guess he's a little bit more in charge.
Okay, so if Jürgen is like the thinker, the more calculated player, and your Nightmare is more of like the impulsive, aggressive guy that he's kind of known for, where would you put yourself in this spectrum? If we have like calm, calculated, and just instincts on the other side, how would you describe yourself?
I think I'm in the middle somewhere. I might be a little more just playing for myself to make myself look good. Because I know I've talked to some players and it's often like I'm pretty selfish in using my abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm a little bit more towards Crazy's path. But yeah, you can't be that too much when you're a support.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be pretty harsh. Yeah, I'd probably somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit leaning towards Crazy's end, but yeah, pretty much in the middle, I would say.
All right. So if we think back to Dolos in season 1, I kind of hold the semi-final game that you played versus Gatekeepers as the best Battlerite match that has ever been played.
It's such a good game.
Yeah, it really was. But I think most people coming into that game saw you guys as underdogs to that series. Do you consider that the fact that you won that game was kind of an upset?
No, we don't at all. We were very confident going into that game. Like we had played them so many times before. Like we have never lost to Gatekeepers in a game. We were very confident going into that game that we would actually win it. Then it was so close that it actually was. We knew it was going to be hard. Like we knew we were going to need to play super good to win it, but we were pretty confident we would actually win it. So for us, maybe not big of an upset, but I can see why people didn't think we would. But yeah, I bet, yeah, for us it was kind of like, we're just going to play our game and we'll beat them.
All right. Do you feel like you were underestimated as a team in the Battlerite community before that?
I mean, to the start, I think we were. I mean, a lot of people, like, maybe if you look at the pro scene, a lot of people knew how good we were. Like, because we were like still screaming people and stuff. So like they had like the good teams kind of knew that we were super good, right? Like we were pretty good. But yeah, I can see why people outside that didn't really follow that and could see it every day. That yeah, well, and compare teams that they play against and practice against, then yeah, of course it's gonna be like, well, these guys are more famous for a longer time. They have played together longer, so obviously they gotta be better than the new team. So I think that would be a big thing for them in that case.
Yeah.
So if you're outside,
Yeah, speaking as a viewer as well, I think the fact that, I mean, Impact and Gatekeepers were both kind of, big famous teams going into the tournament, and they were in the same group. So we
yeah,
never got to see any of the teams in your group in season one play versus them, which made it kind of hard to distinguish, like, how good you were in comparison to the team that were, like, considered to be favorites.
yeah, exactly.
But one thing I want to talk to you about that semifinals actually is that I think that BPL has an interesting way of scheduling like the final week, in the fact that they have semifinals and finals both in the same day.
Yeah,
Like if you think back to that, like you play that semifinals game, I think it went to round 9 of game 5, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it was a very long, intense game. You win that,
yeah,
you knock out the gatekeepers, you qualify for LAN, you've done a good day's work, right? And then now you're playing Impact in the finals in like 15 minutes. How do you go from a series like that to like another big series right after?
I mean, it's for us. It was kind of like, yeah, we wanted to qualify for the LAN, and when we qualified for the LAN, that was what we put all our practice into, and all like it was what our goal was. Obviously, needing to play after that, that was kind of for us. It was kind of harsh because we didn't really have the proper practice against that comp that was OP by that time. So it was kind of like, yeah, we just got we, we tried some weird and funky stuff in the finals. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard. You just need to reset everything and go into it with a new mind and just be like, well, what we've done today doesn't matter now because now it's a new game. But it's probably always gonna be somewhere in the back of your head. But I just remember we were really happy for actually qualifying. Like that was the highlight. So we were trying to just reset and cool ourselves down, grab a drink,
Yeah.
just do that standard stuff. I'm just trying to play our game again.
Would you prefer to have semifinals and finals on like different days?
Oh, I mean, it's a best of five. I mean, it can be a long best of 5 day. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe in that case it would be better for the just in general for the players if this is actually gonna be a long day. Because if you're gonna play like if there are like two super long series, then the finals is gonna be like, I think that could be a pretty swing either way. Because it's gonna be pretty late, and um, if you're unlucky, it might even be like while we're playing at least past midnight.
Yeah.
Then it can be actually keeping your focus up for that long during a whole day, and then keeping it longer and longer is gonna be pretty hard. So yeah, I could see why it would be more preferable to have it different days.
I'm interested in the pro player community because I remember when I talked to Bloom about drafts and picks and how he decides what his what his team wants to play. He mentioned talking a lot to other players, talking to Vague about what Impact plays and stuff like that. And then I thought about the fact that going to LAN, you guys couldn't bring your Nightmare with you, so you played with Hot Biscuit, who's the guy you actually knocked out from LAN in that semifinals. Which might to outsiders be quite surprising that, okay, why does these players want to play together now? How would you say the climate is within like the pro player community of Battlerite?
I like the pro play communities, like they're really close to each other, especially the EU side. I would say I mean, the EU side is really tight, right? Everyone is basically friends with everyone, and like basically the communication between everyone is every day, and you talk to. I mean, you talk to a lot of them basically every single day, several times. Like, yeah, I mean, it's just a really tight community in general. The NA side, I don't think is that close, but yeah, the EU side is at least really, really close. And when you do drafts, yeah, of course you talk with other teams, and yeah, what's strong and what do they think is strong and what do they think is bad. That's what we do. I know Jurgen talks a lot with other people about that. I think he talks with Jider and Godoff a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, why do you think that is that we have this like very friendly community over in EU?
Yeah, friendly. I mean, I don't know. Like we've been basically together for a group for so long. I mean, this goes basically back to the alpha, right? So you got to go back like 2 years maybe, and basically there was a group there that was like disbanded, and then everyone came together and was like, yeah, let's just create a Discord and have fun, right? Like talk about the game, try to have fun, and just play whatever we want. So yeah, that was a big thing for a long time. I don't know. It just happened to be the case. Everyone's stuck together.
Going back to that topic, then, the fact that you couldn't bring your nightmare due to a visa situation, I'm curious about that. How soon did you realize that you wouldn't be able to bring him with you to LAN?
We knew it before BPL started. Like that was already. He already. That was like the first thing he said. It was like, if there's actually gonna be a LAN, I won't be able to go. But yeah, we're kind of. At that point, it's kind of too late to say that, yeah, we can't. Well, then we need to find someone else. Because we knew how good we were gonna be with him. So obviously we kept on playing, and then maybe we didn't expect to actually do as good as we did. And that's also a big thing. But then we noticed we were like, yeah, we're actually doing really, really good. So yeah, then we qualified and we were like pretty fast with. Well, we're trying to fix these visa issues because it was actually fixable, but it would cost a lot of money by that time. So it was within that time frame, it would almost be impossible to actually get those money. Or, I mean, it was really expensive anyways. So at that point, it was like no way we could actually do that. So it was more like, yeah, well, then we actually need to bring in a substitute. And yeah, obviously that was also a tough question of who would pick.
Yeah. Okay, so, but do you know anything about what the actual visa issue was? Right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's fixed now, so if we would actually, it wasn't actually a visa issue. It was more about a passport issue. Whereas in Russia, they have a bit different rules. Whereas basically, you need to have served 1 year in the military to even be allowed to go outside of Russia. And Crazy haven't done that. So yeah, basically there was no way for him to actually get it. I mean, there's a bit of different stuff you can do to actually get it, but it's like, yeah, be 27 years, be ill, so you actually can't do military, or like, yeah, I mean, just study not in Russia. That's like basically the ways you can actually get it. Obviously there are some other ways as well. I don't really know how it works, but yeah, I just know he has gotten it now. So if there would be a for season 3, yeah, he would be able to go. Hopefully.
That's great news. That's great news. Did it change how you felt about going to LAN, knowing that like you wouldn't go there as the whole crew?
Yeah, obviously it's gonna be tough bringing a substitute that we haven't played with, and like our whole play style is gonna change, right? Hot Biscuit isn't one of the most aggressive players, so changing out Crazy, who is probably the most aggressive player, maybe in the whole world.
Yeah.
Obviously that's gonna be a big change in just how we play the game and how we're gonna approach games and what comps we're gonna play. Like everything changes, and yeah, needing to do that within just a few days. We actually had some problems there because Jurgen's PC actually broke right before LAN.
Oh shit.
So we couldn't actually get a lot of practice in. So yeah, obviously it was gonna be tough, but we had done kind of well. I don't say we have done good in scrims because it was over and over against Impact, and yeah, I mean we tried our best at least.
Mm. You know, I think one thing that some people might not know about Hot Biscuit, right, is that he's not that unfamiliar with playing melee. I know he's played a lot of Croak. I think you told me at LAN that he played a lot of Freya as well before that. We saw him play Rukon now in the playoffs of Season 2. So yeah, it's not like the melee thing is different, but it is interesting, like you said, Crazy is known for being very aggressive. What made you decide on Hot Biscuit then? Because you must have known that bringing this guy in is going to be a very different situation than playing with Crazy.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the big things why we brought him in as well, because being able to adapt to someone aggressive, that's always gonna be hard because it requires team play. It requires you to know the guy you're playing with. And within that short of a time, we said, well, it's probably gonna be way too hard actually learning all that and just figuring what comps is best for all of us because it's gonna be so much practice. And we basically said, me and Jürgen was like, we'll just adapt to an easy strategy and be more defensive because that's always gonna be way easier to play around, right? So that was actually a very big thing for us. That we can adapt our whole playstyle easier with just playing defensive instead of just learning all combos, learning everything, and basically relearning everything we've already learned with Crazy. Within such a short time, that's super, super hard to do.
Yeah, understandably
so. That was the big thing.
I'd like to ask you about support players, because I think in Battlerite we have a lot of great support players, and I think one thing that I like about Battlerite is that support players get a lot of shine. We have like big, great names in the game like Klerny, Mini, Godoff, Bloom, Jeter. These are some of the more well-known players in the game, right? And they're all support players. So I was wondering, in EU, if in a game that is so stacked on that position, where do you rank yourself as a support player in EU?
Can I just take the whole world?
Yeah, you can take the whole world.
Yeah, I'm the best.
You're the best. All right, that was an easy, quick answer. All right, what then separates you from other players? What makes you the best player in the world on your position?
I think it's kind of different though, because obviously, you can go on about that forever. Usually, if I'm honest about this question, I tell them when people ask me like who is actually the best player or the best support, I usually tell them, well, it's gonna depend on the meta. Who's gonna be the best? If Lucy is the best like support in the game, then I mean I'll probably be the best support in the game, right? Because I'd rank myself as the best Lucy, at least. And yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have older, then yeah, well, I guess we'd put Godo for someone, you know. So it's like a lot about meta, but then it's also like how can you play around meta? How can you adapt to your team? How easily adaptable are you? I guess. So yeah, I think I'm pretty adaptable in that case. I think I'm like in terms of skill, I think I'm pretty high up there. Like I'd probably rank myself. I mean, at least at the top in terms of like skill, mechanics, and how adaptable I am as a player. What I can pick and what I can, just play at the highest level. But then you gotta consider other stuff like, then who's drafting, right?
Yeah.
I'm not drafting for my team. So then it's like, well, if you don't consider skill, because skill is only so much in Battlerite, right? It's more about mind games than that. So skill isn't actually gonna bring you the victories all the time. You still need to be good at drafting and all that. So then it's like, well, Godoff does his drafting for his team, Bloom does his drafting for his team. So it's also like, well, what do you actually consider most valuable? And how good are they actually at it? So like, honest, there are no real answer to like that question. There's so much you gotta consider, and I think it's pretty much up to everyone to just answer it correctly and say, yeah, this is what I prefer.
All right then, but if we stick to your global competition, not just talking about support players, since you were at the LAN, you played like the top players in in EU, in NA, in South America. I bet you played a bunch of these players before as well. Is there any player in particular in the world that you feel like this guy is especially tricky to face?
I mean, when we played, I thought Aklo was really good at the game. When we played at the LAN,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't played very much, so it's very hard to tell. But I thought that play was really, really good. I mean, I think, I mean, I faced Crazy a lot. I think Crazy is pretty insane at the game, and yeah, I think most people would actually agree on that, because he's actually nuts. He's the only player I know that's actually like know when he should miss stuff on purpose and stuff. Like it's really hard. It's just really hard to play against.
Would you say he misses stuff on purpose?
Yeah, it's like if he's gonna rook M2 you, he'll actually miss the M2 for you to counter it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just bait out the counter that way. Just yeah, I mean it's super hard to do anything up against. Because like if you're a rook and you're gonna M2, then the enemy will counter it.
Yeah.
Then hey, if you just miss it, then yeah, there's no way to really counter it. Like you're gonna use your counter, and the thing is, if you don't, then he'll hit you. So it's like it's really hard to judge it. So the safe play is to always, always counter it. But there's just so much mind games playing against him. I think so. It's really hard to do much about it.
Was that a reason why you thought you really wanted to pick him up, because he was so hard to play against before you were teammates?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd played him against him a lot, so I knew that he was actually really, really good at the game. Yeah, that was a big thing why I picked him up super early.
Ow. The double kill. The double kill. Holy pug.
If we move a bit forward in time now, this is season 2. We're almost done with season 2 right now when we record this. Like I said before, I think some people were surprised about how well you guys were right away, or especially how good you became towards the end of season 1 and managed to qualify for LAN. You said you were really confident already during season 1. However, now in season 2, you were put into a really difficult group and you completely dominated that group. And like, regardless of how good you guys think you were in season 1, I think it's safe to say that you guys are a lot better now than you were in season 1. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, we for sure are. There's just so many more picks and stuff we have. Yeah, that we will actually be able to pick now.
So what's the
Sorry.
what has happened from season 1 to season 2? What has caused this improvement in Dolos?
I mean, one big thing is that we actually have practiced way more than we did during the whole of last season. So it's kind of like, yeah, well, obviously that's going to be a big thing. But we've also put in a lot more thinking into our drafts and what we should pick. Instead of just saying, well, we're good at this, so let's pick this. Now we're thinking more of, well, what will the enemy pick? And we're trying to make our comps based on what the enemy will pick, right? Instead of picking what we want, we will actually just pick what the enemy doesn't want us to play. So, I mean, it's just a lot more thinking into it all, into our drafts, into how we should play the game, into combos, into everything like that. Which is, I guess, that improved us a lot.
Has this had anything to do with the fact that we have the ban system now as well?
I think ban system is pretty good for us. Like as I said, all of us play so many champions that you can't ban out any one of us. It doesn't really matter. You can say, yeah, we don't want to play against this champion, but it's not gonna affect our draft. It's not gonna affect anything, because I mean, obviously there are always certain comps we always want, and like we've even checked, there's no way you can actually ban them out. So for us, that's fine. And then I mean, you could see it like, if we get a chance, we'll pick up a Pearl in a double support comp because we know it's good against what the enemy picks.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's also a big thing. Like we put in a lot of traps into our drafts that we want our enemy to pick this. It could be about this is a good map for this hero, so and this guy plays this hero. Like Shemiya was a good example when he picked Shifu.
Yeah,
Picked
I
Montaraz.
that's what I thought about. I remember because I remember you telling me that, I think on like Twitter or something, that yeah, you were kind of baiting out the Shifu in how you drafted.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of how we are thinking right now about the drafts. So it's hard for the enemies to actually predict it. I mean, we picked Mount Aras Day, I think it was. I mean, it's a good map for Shifu either way. So we were pretty confident that they'll actually pick up Shifu. Like we knew that were gonna happen. So we're like, what's good with Shifu? We'll ban out that instead. So yeah, like then they ended up picking Shifu, and we're like, well, it's just a free pick for us then. And we're like, yeah, let's pick the Pearl. Now that's a comp we always like. We've practiced comp like that, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why we know they work. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that where you need to think a little bit further when you actually draft versus us, I think. So it's hard to predict what we're gonna pick and what we want them to pick. Because I know they weren't very happy with us picking that comp. They were pretty
Yeah, I can imagine.
caught off guard.
Yeah. As a viewer, I think the ban phase is great. I think it's added like a whole new dimension to watching Battlerite as an esport, to know that we have these mind games even before the actual match even starts.
Yeah. I mean, it's for sure a super big thing. I like basically every pro player in a sense have asked for this for so long time. So it's actually super nice that it finally like being approved more by SLS as well, and not only by, because for a while in EU, like before BPL, we actually had bans as well. It wasn't this way, but it was still bans, right? But then for the first BPL, that was like the first tournament in a long term where we didn't have bans, and everyone like, why aren't we having bans? So it's super nice seeing it coming back in season 2, and hopefully it's gonna stay. I think everyone is pleased with it. I think everyone likes it.
But I'm curious, when we're talking about this banning and drafting, we see a lot of games that go like, a lot of the stomps we see in the BPL, a lot of players often come out and say that, yeah, we really won that draft, or like the players who lost say that, oh yeah, we got totally outpicked that game. How, if you get outpicked in Battlerite, if your composition just is shit against the other composition due to draft, how hard is it to win a game in professional Battlerite?
You lose the game if you're actually out. Like if you're super hard outpicked, you lose the game. So I don't think that's an excuse though, because if you're getting outpicked, obviously you didn't put enough. Like you didn't think out the draft enough. So I mean, I don't think it's a good excuse for you losing a game, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's for sure a big thing. Like if you actually get out draft, then yeah, you're probably not gonna be able to do super much at all.
Have you ever felt like you've been on the other side of that, like going into a game where it's like, ah, shit, this is basically over?
Not this season, but I mean, this season I think we have won almost every single draft. We've had some hard drafts, but yeah, we've been pretty fine this season.
Yeah.
Season 1, I can't even remember. I think we had a couple tough drafts. I think one game versus United, we just got the draft super hard, and we're like, well, we just drafted bad. So we thought about it, and then we beat them later in the playoffs.
Well, obviously it hasn't happened this season since you won every game you've played.
Yeah.
So if being outpicked means you lose, it obviously hasn't happened to you, right? So on that note, we are 2 days, when we record this, 2 days away from semifinals and finals. And we haven't seen you guys play either Team Hyped, who you'll face in the semifinals, or Impact, who you could face in a potential final, since you've not been in the same groups. How strong do you think that you guys are compared to those teams?
United 3-0. I gotta drink something. United 3-0. Hyped, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and we beat United pretty easy.
So
I think that's enough saying.
You're
I
confident
think that's
going
enough.
into the semi.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I mean, Impact is always going to be a tough game if we face them. Obviously, like it's Impact, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to just heavily outdraft them. I don't think they're as easy to bait. God of is a really good drafter as well, so it's obviously a big thing. I mean, I'm pretty confident we'll actually. I think if whoever we face right now will actually beat them. I'm pretty confident about that. I think we are the strongest team, but it's up to us to prove it as well. Like I can sit there and say it, but if I don't prove it, then only matters so much.
Yeah. If we look forward to season 3, do you feel like we have a cemented group of top teams in EU now?
I mean, top 4, yeah, I'd say we have, and I think that's gonna stay for season 3 as well. So it's gonna be interesting for the season 3 groups, I guess. And even now, I would even rate. I'd honestly just rate us and Impact a bit above Hyped and United, but the gap isn't big between. Like, I think there is more being like what team is actually best at drafting and what team is best at just just drafting in general, I guess, and picking the correct maps for the drafts. I think that's a big thing maybe between the teams, which I think as an Impact has a much better read on. Especially if you saw the games last week, I'd say we have a little bit better read on it. But that's always something you can improve on, right? So it's just such a small step for Hyped and United up to us, I would say. I don't think it matters that much at all.
Do you think next season, considering that we have a LAN on the line again for next season, do you think like that season will be more competitive, that we'll see more drive in teams in general?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot more drive for teams. I know we are hopefully gonna be way more in it as well. I think Impact is gonna be way more right so well. Like even the NA side, I think you can clearly see that like SSG isn't really up to what they used to be. Like they used to be basically stomping everyone.
Yeah.
And now they are like trying out stuff. So I mean, yeah, obviously if there's a LAN and you know that, well, this is what you are gonna work for, this is what I want to do. Because I mean for us, I think the LAN is more worth than money, right? Just being able to go to LAN and saying that, well, us playing here, is more worth than just getting a chunk of money. So obviously I think we're gonna see a lot more drive.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the case for most Battlerite players, right? I don't think a lot of people sunk all these hours into becoming the best at Battlerite to say like this is easy money. We're doing this to get rich, right?
No, of course not.
So most people probably agree with that. Like the recognition and being there, being a part of the top level of Battlerite is probably like the big thing. So before we end this, I remember I have a small anecdote from like the first time I had a conversation with you. I don't know if you'll remember this at all. You probably won't, but
I probably don't.
No. I'm gonna go ahead and say you have a bad memory, so that we can say that I was right about you playing with one game with Peruvian Prodigies as well, to sweep away my big mistake there in the beginning. But either way, I
But it's probably correct though.
I don't know.
I probably did.
I have terrible eyesight, so I might have misread the names at the stream as well. Anyway, before I started the Battlerite Profiler thing, I had this other Twitch channel called Full Cooperation, and I was streaming some Battlerite, and this was one slow day, chat was dead, and then one guy jumps into the channel, and I was like, hey, welcome, nice to see you here. You've been here before though, right? Because I really recognize your name. And the guy goes, no, never watched you before whatsoever. And I looked at the name again, and it was Klerny, and I was like, what the fuck? I know this name though. And then I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, this is a pro player in Battlerite. That is really cool. And we started talking, and you like talked a lot about the state of the game, what you thought was bad about the game, what you wanted to be fixed, and just a generally cool experience for me to like get insight in what the highest tier players think about where the game is. So I wanted to ask you about that again, but more about the esports side of things. Is there anything you feel like you would want to be added or changed when it comes to the esports scene of Battlerite going forward now?
I mean, right now I think it's pretty good. I think, I mean, are we talking like gameplay changes then? Because you could say like some gameplay changes are gonna have some esports. I mean, I think basically every season should be a little bit different, like in terms of how you play the map, in terms of how you rotate. Because right now it's kind of like you have this middle area and you fight there. There is no real reason to like rotate over unless you're stuck in a bad position where you just rotate around the wall. But that's basically all rotation you do during a game. Otherwise you're like, well, do we stay in the middle or don't we? That's the big question you always ask yourself. Whereas I mean stuff like that where maybe you have 2 orb spawn locations, like, you know, so you need to rotate around the map and like gain control that way. I don't know what would be best, but you know, stuff like that. I think towards this season we had a really good example of what everyone actually liked, or like reduced round timers. There was somewhere I don't even remember what it was, but you know, changes like that.
Yeah, M2 healing. I don't know how much that something that you feel, but
no, but it's like stuff like that that's actually nice to have, because it's gonna have a more strategic change to the game, how you approach a game at the pro play level. And I mean, I think stuff like that should be played around with a bit every season. Because right now, I guess like even before this, it was stale for so long. And it was like, yeah, you just did the same thing over and over and over and over, and there was no reason to ever change it. But now you see with the bans, like all heroes are getting picked. Everyone isn't just picking the same heroes. I guess if we didn't have bans, everyone would just be playing the same comp.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Rook older. Remember that comp?
Yeah, that was fun. We saw a few games of Rook older. A few teams pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that though. Like, there's just basically changes like that actually has an impact on the game. While it maybe doesn't have a huge impact on the teams, but it still has an impact on how you approach the games, right? It's gonna be more fun to actually be playing them.
All right, we've talked for quite some time now. Before we end this, I just want to ask if people see Klerny here and say that, wow, I really want to see more of what this guy does when he doesn't play in the BPL, where can people find Klerny?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Klerny, or Twitter as well. That's a really good place. Everyone should follow me there. At @brklerny.
All right.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Do that. Go follow Klerny on Twitter and Twitch. And with that, I say thank you so much for joining me for this interview, and good luck in your coming games.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me as well. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.